Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm a trained remote viewer. I was a programmed birth for a mind control program that was a continuation of a Nazi program in Germany after the Second World War. Problem was, my father was US military. He was Cuban, but he was US military. And so I got volunteered. No, my birth was planned. There is some indicators that the person that is my mother was my mother. I'm sure she has passed by now. Had a bloodline. Oh, interesting. Um, that included world class level psychics. But being it that I don't have the ability to check anything of mine because now we find out that the companies that check your DNA are not so honest, and that certainly would be withheld from me, I may never really find out. The point of the matter is that we are finding out, or you are finding out increasingly, how much your life has been affected by the fact that there's some people that know more about the other dimensions than you do, and that the nice people in the government know. And as I tell my clients, anytime something happens that's weird and you don't really have a good explanation and you try to figure it out and you do stuff and you still can't, there's something going on, that unseen factor, you need to check if somebody did black magic. You could also be sleeping too near a router and you could be electro addicted, which would have some of the same effects because electro addiction will give you a lot of the same symptoms as somebody doing black magic on you. So we are in end times, and politics does not get a pass. And we are definitely in end times in terms of politics. Today, I saw several clips about stuff that's going on in Congress with the confrontation of people that don't want to believe that this could have been done on purpose. And that's really setting us all back. Now, the person who has sinned the most there is me, wanting to think that everybody has good intentions, or that I'll be able to detect what the real intentions are, has cost me dearly. It has cost me dearly. The fact that people have a smile on their face and they're saying all the right things doesn't really mean anything. Now, I do have an excuse. I have had everybody who handles me and a lot of people who are related to me have done work, black magic, so that I would be asleep to the stuff that's happening. But my family is so asleep that within my family, there's a person who is a black magician, Santera, and then very well to do, talks a lot about all the money and all the properties they have and all the luxury. And for 10 years, all she wore were very cheap white dresses, little sundresses. And nobody questioned it, or at least it never got to me. I questioned it. What's this with the little white sundresses? They're driving Mercedes and they have all these properties, and she's wearing a little sundress, but it was always white. And then, of course, in retrospect, when you go to the highest level of black magic, you have to wear white for 10 years. And she did. And she was invited to all the family parties. And she would bring gifts to my grandkids, and I would be cringing, not really awake to the full extent of the evil that can invade people who get involved in black magic. Bottom line, we're all really good people. Our environments, people we associate with, stuff that transfers to us, bad choices we make, and then we get a little bit deeper, and we can end up on the other side of that line. And we need not to stop evil the first time we see it. We need to be awake and understand what we're looking at, regardless of how painful it is. Because we have to leave a legacy, in the case of families, to our children, in the case of this country, to the ones that are coming behind, the generations that are just being born, growing up, the ones that come behind. We have to leave a legacy. Okay? And we're not. We're still addressing the issues very much on a physical level, the physical dimension. Bad people. And I'm going to put that little video on again. The bad, 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 bad people are the ones that have sacrificed themselves to carry an energy that came from off planet, that came from aliens that wanted to destroy this planet by making humans hate each other. That being said, we still have to stop it because that would mean that we woke up. And that is the point of a lot of badness. Okay? So, one of the listeners in the chat is saying that somebody in her family had to wear white forever and that they told the family that he had to to wear the white for a while, but he didn't say why. Well, that's something that's pretty well known in terms of Santeria, but I believe perhaps this follower is from another country. The point of the matter is, and by the way, every country has their own versions of black magic. Give me 1 second. Okay. So you don't know yet the extent to which magic is involved in the stuff that's happening in the country. And a lot of you don't know when things go south for you, you don't know to what extent, perhaps, it has to do with black magic. So you can say, well, that's because of all the Hispanics and all the others coming in. No. Judaism has had magic and black magic in it forever. So do the populations that have come here from other countries, they've had it. Has it been as widespread as it is today? I don't think so, but you know something? Years ago, I was taking care of a grandchild that was sick. So she said she wanted to watch a TV show. And the TV show was of a little group of girls, and it was really all about them learning magic. This cute magic. And there's several shows like that. And then there was another show for kids, and it had to do with magic and food. I just talked about that yesterday. So the young ones are learning about the magic. And I'm wondering to what extent we're not paying enough attention. And it doesn't feel to me what's on TV that it's associated with evil. The problem is, as I tell my followers, black magic is bullying. You only do it if you do it because you think people aren't going to find out. Because if you thought they were going to find out, you wouldn't do it. You'd be ashamed. And so what? You're a hypocrite too. You're a bully and you're a hypocrite. Okay. Something unusual happens, you need to ask. It could be black magic. And if our younger kids are getting into magic, then we need to be really clear on it. And from what I'm seeing, if I flip through channels, they are into magic. They're having a lot of fun. They're in a group. But do they understand the ethics that they need to abide by in order not to cross that line? So this is what I was going to say, and I distracted myself. A lot of people get into black magic and end up being terrible people, but they get in initially because they have a problem. And these magicians and the curanderas, they're really good. You can get sick and sometimes they can just clear the disease. You're going to be able to too soon if you learn to use mantras and focus and do what martial artists do when they break a board in a concrete block, which is focus with intention. We're not going to go there. So we have got to address this issue, and we can address it now because that is what chaos is for everything to get thrown up in the air. And one of the things that needs to land on its feet is, what are we going to do about educating people about black magic or about magic and have them understand that even if they use it initially, black magic, in other words, something that they're not going to let people know they're doing, whatever, they go to somebody, or it's something to hurt somebody who's their enemy, that already opened a door. Now, and I also tell my followers, if you look at people that are into black magic, that use it, and the people that do it, that people pay to do it, but mainly, let's talk about the people that are paid to do it, that are the experts. And I learned this like 30 or 40 years ago. None of them drive good cars. I mean, they may for a couple of years, but basically they don't. They don't have great houses. They don't go on vacation. And a lot of their kids are mentally ill. because throughout history, it has been understood that mental illness has to do with an invasion of spirits. When you do black magic or you go to a curandera and a black magician, there are spirits there. They're the ones that are helping that person you're paying. And they go ahead and take care of stuff, and chances are it'll work. And then you come home, but you come home with an attachment. And you also come home with your curandera or santero with an attachment to your pocketbook. Do you know how many people, I can't give you a number. Do you know how many people have had their big issue has been that their santero curandera now has roped them, has a rope around them energetically because they like that money they made for them and they noticed the car that they drove up in. Or they noticed because whoever recommended them was well-to-do, so she's got to be well-to-do, so I'm going to pay attention and I'm going to take care of these issues and then I'm going to create these other ones over here, so they have to come back. Right now, I have two duos. I have a duo that's Bonnie and Clyde. I think they're members of my family that are planning who the heck knows what. Deeply, deeply into black magic, but the worst of it, they're sick. But I'm not sure they're going to end up in a mental institution, more like a jail. Miami, I don't know, you don't know that, but I lived in an island called Grove Isle. It's beautiful. I had a great apartment. Oh my God. I didn't know that it was the headquarters and the home of the Cuban political mafia. I didn't know that, but that's because I've been half asleep. They've kept me asleep. So it was somebody in the parking group that one day I walked next by him and I could read his mind. And he was saying, they're going to take her down. And I said, who's going to take me down? And anyway, at one point we had a conversation. He was open. I think he was trying to be sweet to me. And he said to me, well, you know, the Grove Isle is the mother lode of the Cuban political mafia. You know that, right? I didn't know that. And I was there. It was a horror story, the stuff that would happen at night, because at that point, they could still control me at night and have me do things that I would never have done. The level of black magic was unbelievable. By the way, that's an island I think needs to be looked at having to do with sex trafficking. And okay, somebody can kill me right now, but I already said it. And besides, it's maybe a little bit obvious. It's not what it used to be. But I had somebody there that I worked with, and I couldn't understand the level of black magic done against this person who didn't appear to be into black magic. And I was like, why are they so set on controlling you? Well, they had something of a position of power in Grove Isle, and they kept this person asleep. Probably cost him his life, but he also got paid. This whole paying of money and this whole bribing and this whole taking it is not good. So, politics and end times. End times, everything's supposed to fall apart. It's falling apart. But look, we got to work on it getting put back together again. So, in terms of this country, which for some reason I keep to refocusing on, oh dear. And most of my followers are not from the United States. They're from Latin America or Central America, the islands. We have to figure out this whole thing with the magic, especially if you, and I would like for you to pay attention to the TV shows for the young girls, the girls. And there's always guys there, but the shows are really directed towards young girls. And they're having a lot of fun, but they're working with magic. They're working actually with superpowers, which is available to us now. But again, and I'm not saying we should set up a religion. No, 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 no. But there needs to be an understanding of the dangers of using magic to bypass what's supposed to be the first law on the planet, which is free will. And then after that comes the law of intention, or maybe the law of intention comes first. It doesn't really matter. And they need to know this. And they also, which is what impresses everybody when I tell them. Have you ever met a santero or curandera that lives in a good neighborhood, that drives a decent car, that has vacations, and whose kids are doing great and have sustained that? for longer than 2 or 3 years. No, because when they open those doors to darkness, to enlist those spirits, to attach to the magic that they do to take people down, to control them, whatever, they think that they have control over all those portals that they open, and they don't. They don't. And they pay a price, and they haven't noticed it. It becomes an addiction to the people that are in that world. And I say it a lot with my groups because I know the too high a percentage of them still dabble in that when a kid gets in trouble or the husband. And I say, it's an addiction. Don't do it. Don't get started. It's an addiction because it works. Yes, it works. The consequences are not good. So I'm going to tell you a little story now because it may become very relevant. I bought a red Tesla, very happy with my red Tesla. There are Cuban mafiosos who are associated with the Tesla store in Coral Gables. Okay? That's not Tesla's fault. I'm just putting it on air. And if I'm wrong, you know what? I will apologize. Okay, so I have a red Tesla and I'm happy with my red Tesla. I don't post any more about it because I have a big campaign in my head formulated, because if it is the safest car, and it is statistically, then I want all my grandkids to have one. I want my kids too, but who the hell's going to control them? If they speak to me after all of this stuff that's happening and I'm revealing. And so one day I noticed in the morning, because there's not that many red Teslas around, across the street, there was a red Tesla identical to mine. And I'm psychic. So I went, oh my God, they're planning something. What the heck could they be planning? And so we had a whole group and we followed them psychically, intuitively. And yes, they were planning something to get me out of the apartment and then to have something happen. Okay, whatever. So I said it on my social media, so they backed off of that. And I'm sure that the person who owns that red Tesla doesn't own it anymore. I think they borrowed it from someone. I don't think they would have borrowed it from the Tesla store. Or maybe they did, but I don't think so. I think they borrowed it from someone. I have no idea. The point of the matter is that I have had a group around me, because of the information that I have about this mafioso group that is so significant internationally and nationally. I have had a group working on me, an entire group of well-to-do men, and at their beck and call, some of them mind control victims, others just regular people who think. So this is what they say about me. Number one, they say I'm mentally ill. Well, you know what? I went to 3 psychologists at the University of Miami. I have severe dissociative disease. I'm not mentally ill. And I worked with the number one mind control specialist in the Americas, which was Dr. Colin Ross, who works with cult victims and military mind control victims. I'm not mentally ill. Okay, so they've been working for years to set me up for people to think that I'm mentally ill. And then the second thing that they told the people, they're not having people obey them very quickly today anymore, because somehow, I guess people, I've been waking up. They said that I wanted to ruin the Cuban reputation. Well, that's kind of interesting because I am half Cuban. I could say I'm American, but I say I'm Cuban. My kids are Cuban. They're born in the United States, but they consider themselves Cuban. I have 5 grandkids. And I haven't asked them, but I suspect that if you ask them what they are, they're going to tell you they're Cuban. Now, why on earth would I want to destroy the reputation that's going to land on my family? I'm talking about a particular group of people, a networking of evil. But listen to this one, because that's used in the United States in politics. They are able to control, or were able to control, this group, an entire population, make us Cubans look dumb as a rock in terms of politics. They have to have used black magic, which is a form of mind control. And they have all those people have, I don't know, convinced it was all about Castro and communism. So for 60 years, they've been controlling people with, like, where the Cuban population are the bull and they're waving the red flag. Communism, they're communists. Castro, he killed so many people. He didn't kill even remotely as many people as his group did. He's a lot more honorable than they were. So it's a whole storyline, and the black magic is very much a core part of it. And if you don't get that, then you send in investigators, and all of a sudden they got this fog. And all of a sudden they think the guy's not so bad. Well, you're going to give them that much. And when you put them in jail, and if they still have the ability to call on the phone or to meet with their family, they're going to keep doing it from there. And everybody's going to kind of forget. So you have to be awake and aware. You have to understand. And then you turn around and go, and our kids? What's going on with our kids? What's going to go on with our kids with the thing with magic? Because it's not just this group. They're doing it, it's on TV. We are supposed to be magical now. We're supposed to get in touch with our sacredness, our power, that we're co-creators, we're creators, superpowers, and this is the time. And this is the time where I guess it's kind of good that everything's exploding so that we can get this figured out, looked at, figured out, addressed, and not do what happened in Atlantis. Elon Musk, pay attention to what I'm going to say next. And Trump. I don't know why I address those two guys so much. It's not like I know them. Maybe I do. I don't know. But I feel like they can hear me. Atlantis was an incredible civilization. Oh, it didn't exist. Okay, I have a bridge I want to show you, and we can negotiate a great price. Plato started to write a book called Timaeus on Atlantis, and he didn't finish it because he died. Now, why would he start to write a book or write a book about something that's just like a little storyline? He didn't. It's real, it's important. But the most important thing for you to know about Atlantis was why it was destroyed. Look at what I'm doing with my arms. Why it was destroyed. Atlantis achieved, and I've said this before, but we have a lot of new people watching this, even though it only looks like 16 people are watching this. It's not true. It says 62. Atlantis developed a level of technology that was unbelievable. They had off-planet help, which means that at the same time they were getting stuff from off-planet beings, that those off-planet beings were opening holes underneath them and doors that they were going to push them into whatever. But in Atlantis, they had temples and they would compete with each other. And it was, and anytime I've read Atlantis, I've never seen anything having to do with like money, but there was a lot of pride in their technology and being able to bring new innovations and more wonderful innovations to the table before the other temples. There's a lot of competition. And they forgot to take the time to slow down and see what the effect of these technological developments would have on humans. They didn't do that. And so whoever it is that, or the four elements, the consciousness of the elements, had to take down Atlantis. The gap between their development of technology, not farming, not art, technology, was really high, and their ethics were very low. And we're there today. If there were no cell phones, there would not be as high a level of autism. And I understand that it appears that injections could be, and I'm not discussing that. I'm not negating that. Nor am I going to read it because I don't want my head cut off. But technology, those cell phones, that radiation destroys the mind. So I believe that if we didn't have any of that, or it was really modulated, or everybody had the music that we are having composed for us that corrects the frequency of microwave, I think we would have a lot less autistic kids. And I have one story to say about that, and nobody's going to like it, but there's nothing I can do. You don't want me to get sold to the highest bidder. You want me to stay hanging on to the truth, even though it has too many people thinking that I'm crazy and too many people not willing to have a relationship with me because maybe it'll transfer to them my level of ability to see. Yeah, I have the power of induction. We're not going into that. So we need to be willing to look at all these things. We need to know more about magic, and we need to make sure that our children have some standards that should be universal and have nothing to do with us controlling them or their minds, but for them to understand. Because bottom line, if you get into black magic, you're going to go down. You're going to go down by your crew, your team of spirits that helps you. They are going to take you down, and they're going to take down your kids. So, and then I'm going to kind of end this part of it. You guys know that in the 90s, I took care of over 50 autistic kids. I have half of the uh, investigations, I still have them. And I pulled 5 kids out of autism. They were declared autistic by the medical profession, and they were told, the parents were told that their child was no longer autistic by the medical profession, not by me, because of course, who's going to listen to me? It's the doctors we have to listen to. So when I went to close down that whole thing, when I realized I wasn't getting any place because I was never going to be able to present that information, it wasn't going to be allowed, and it was going to hurt my ability to continue to reach people. But I went ahead and we got all the files. And as you know, the autistic kids that are fire signs are really hard to control. They're a problem. But if your autistic child is an earth sign, they're a lot easier to deal with. So their element, their astrological, which has to do with their element, makes a big difference. But the point of the matter is 10% of the kids that were autistic was the causal was the families, religions, practices having to do with those blankety blank ceremonies where they kill animals, they open the doors to other dimensions. 10% of them. I really didn't want to say it, and actually, I didn't say it very much until recently. You got one foot in that world, and you got kids. Maybe you'll be in the 90% where the kids are not autistic. Maybe. Maybe not. So we're going to finish now our event last night on me clearing everybody's second chakra, which has to do with sacral, sexual, creation, and manifestation, was really good. It was a battle. There were a lot of helping spiritual guides, spirits, and there were the ones that really didn't want me to be there. But it was very good, and it's going to make a huge, huge, huge difference. If we individuals can do it several times, because what I cut out, pull out, whatever, clear out, they're not going to stop from coming in, but you'll be stronger in that area. So it'll be less, and then if you keep doing it, so it's a good thing. I'm very pleased with myself. I'm very pleased with myself. I had an intention from 30 some years ago when I went to a conference in transpersonal psychology, and I know several of you already know this story. And there was a guru that Saturday night event. He gave a little speech, and then he said, I am going to give all of you a healing. We were 500 people. I didn't believe him. Close your eyes, everybody, he said. I closed my eyes, but I opened them because I was too anxious. I couldn't say like that. Okay. So I opened my eyes. Everybody was standing there with their eyes closed, sitting there. And there was a spirit of him next to each of us, 500 people. He was giving each of us a healing. And I said, oh my God, I want to do that. I'm doing it today. That's what we're doing in the events. So we had a testimonial that came in this morning of somebody who paid to have it done for her child, for her and for her child. And she said that the child was very different, softer, more conversational, more open, more clear-headed. And we've had a lot of those testimonials. So this is a good thing because it's not just about me. This means that you guys can do this too. Remembering that you're allowed the level of power that you should be allowed. And that doesn't mean you have to be good people, because good, throw good out the window. That's not uh, what the rule is. But anyway, so let's go ahead and do 5 minutes of mantra. Uh, Thank you, Echo Man. I don't know who you are, but thank you. Okay, we're going to do 5 minutes, and we're going to do the second. No, you know what? I'm going to show you something. And for those of you that are looking at this, listening to this on a podcast, it's not going to be quite as effective. But you know how a martial artist, you know how nobody can break a board with their hand. It's just not possible. Okay, we know that. And yet, martial artists can break a board and a concrete block with their hands. And we accept that. But it is because what you're seeing on screen, which is the martial artist vectoring out from his center axis, a vector comes out, and then these chi, these green dots, flow through him into the vector, and that's what creates the miraculous, the magic. Like the mother that sees her kid under the wheels of a car, she's fat and she's old, doesn't matter, that's her kid. She is unblocked in her intention, like the martial artist. She lifts up the car, gets her kid out. Because she was not multi-focusing. She had one intention, to save her kid. But that's not the point. The point I'm making is having to do with all of you guys right now, what we're going to do next. It wasn't until yesterday or the day before that I realized the chi, which is the God particle, which is prana, the green dots that are all around us, inside also, but less than outside, is coming in through the back of the heart chakra. And then moving through the body, and then going into that vector that's pointing at energetically what your intention is. Okay, so what's the problem? What's the point, Francis? Give me a break. What's the point? The back of the heart chakra. For 2 years, almost every time I get together with the mantristas, and I'm going to give them a healing, it's the back of the heart chakra that's getting messed up by the ETs. And I have said many times, I don't get it. What's with the back of the heart chakra? I don't get it. I get it. If you have an intention and the back of your heart chakra is shoved through with bad stuff, locked up, tied up, you're not going to be able to channel God's energy, because the chi and the prana is the God particle, which is God. You're not going to be able to channel that. You're not going to be able to have your superpowers. You're not going to be able to get that assistance from God. That's why the ETs are focused on the back of the heart chakra. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give all of you, all 13 of you, it's more than 13, it says 64. On 5 platforms, I have 64 people. I'm going to give you all, I'm going to go to the back of your heart chakra, and I'm going to clear it to the best of my ability. And it's only been like once I haven't been able to clear it, but they're upping the ante. And I'm going to do the music that has to do with the heart. Okay, so the mantra is now I put a community, help us with our intention to heal our heart. But you can do, if you want, you can do help me with my intention. And I'm going to put the music on, and you're going to take your breath to the back of your heart center, which is in the center of your chest between your breasts, but in the back. And that's where I'm going to work. And what I'm going to do is going to be very short, but you continue to do the mantra and to breathe there, okay? If I see anything interesting, I will tell you. Oh, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the Medusas. I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I want to do the one for Venezuela that is also. No, there's an issue with that one. I don't know what the issue is. Okay, here we go. 5 minutes. would you feel a couple of minutes ago? And can you breathe more easily? I can breathe better because I also include myself when I do this. And the visuals, and I'm not a mechanic and I don't work with tools but there were literally nuts and bolts in the back of the heart chakra. So my normal, which means metallic, metal, which means alien. Anytime you get something like ties, things that are tied up in the other dimensions, it's alien. If it's metallic, it's alien. It's not from this planet. I don't know what the material is, but that's basically the rule that appears to be sustained. But I had to remove several bolts. It was, like, what are we getting into this? This is usually they do ties or they'll stuff in the channel and then the energy can't flow and then your breathing gets worse and you don't feel so good and you can almost have panic attacks, whatever. So this is big. The issue with keeping the back of the heart chakra open, this is huge. And I'm going to petition to the universe because I know none of you are going to do anything. We need help getting this information out there. Because it's even if you just do the mantra, you have more of a chance of having that open and being able to breathe better. And when you can't breathe well, you're not getting oxygen or energy to a lot of your tissue. It's just, I think we all know the importance of breathing well, even if I'm not able to put an entire list of it here. Okay? Yes, breathe better, breathe deeper. So, I'm not supposed to be here tomorrow. I think I did 5 days or 4 days. I'm not, one of the days I was here wasn't supposed to be here. But if it gets interesting, like if there are more shenanigans by this mafia. Oh, by the way, when I was in Grove Isle, oh God, what a nightmare. I could just write a book about my experiences there with the guys that worked in the valet and that washed the cars. And by the way, the people that worked at Grove Isle, the housekeepers and the people, other than the head of security that was Venezuelan, the other people and the people in maintenance, by the time I left, everybody knew that there was something going on with this group of old men. So one day, one of them came to my apartment to fix something, and I said, "Did you ever wonder why this group of guys is so focused on me? I mean, I'm an old lady here, living here, not doing anything, according to you guys, that interesting." And he said, "Yeah, we're actually asking ourselves that question. What's going on? Why are they so determined to get you out of here?" They were very aggressive. Very aggressive. We don't need to go into the stories. But anyway, so why did I get back to Grove Isle? I don't remember. Oh, I think something's going to come out, perhaps, in terms of when everything finishes unraveling. Oh, when I was in Grove Isle, what I was told, because you see, this group is not as hermetic as they think. What I was told was that they went to the Miami police and they asked the head of the police to help with me because I was talking too much. And all I was telling them was they could just get out of my way. I wasn't trying to do anything, not like I'm doing now. And the head of the police said to them, "Well, I'm not getting involved in that. It's not my problem. She's not doing anything." So people did not believe that there was a Cuban political mafia. They didn't believe it. Of course, I was, hysteric, whatever. I mean, obviously mentally ill. I wonder how come she can keep paying her bills. And clients who actually don't follow the party line. Okay. So about 6 months later in the news, that head of the police department in Miami made an off the cuff comment about there being a Cuban mafia in the police department. And nobody did anything. But a couple weeks later, a reporter came back and said, "Wait a second, you made a statement that was a little bit interesting." And he wasn't able to get out from under that. And he gave some statements and he said that they were worse than Fidel Castro. And that, by the way, is, I mean, to a Cuban, he's Cuban, by the way. To a Cuban to say that is worse than all the devils in the history of the world. We've been brainwashed. And I'm not saying he was great or good. What I'm saying is we've been brainwashed, and he's been used as a marketing tool for galvanizing hatred even towards a person like me that obviously, what, give me a break. So he ended up with public declarations that there was a political, a Cuban, not political, he said a mafia, and that they were worse than Castro. He quit. I don't know. I think he resigned, but they were going to kill him anyway. And he took the case to court. So that has to be in federal court now. So if all my stuff comes out, the stuff that I'm getting a whiff of and that I'm being told and that I perceive comes out, maybe my red Tesla is going to be part of that. What were they planning on doing with that? I'm dying to know. I'm curious. But anyway, so we will probably see you tomorrow. And if not, then we'll see you on Monday. And we have our podcast up on Spotify and on Apple. Okay. Thank you for listening. We've got to take care of the kids. So we've got to get this all figured out. Bye.